guys, Dave the Action Movie Archivist here, and I want to thank you for stopping by. And today I'm going to be talking about the first war film I've reviewed. So this is War Film Movie Review Episode 1. And today I'm going to talk about Corregidor. It's a 1943 black and white film, there you go, which is actually public domain. So you can go out there on the Internet Archive and watch it for free. I just like having stuff on the shelf, so bought a copy. It is put out by Alpha Video on DVD, so, you know, it's not going to be spectacular. You can see there's no special features other than to look at a catalog for the company, which I don't give a shit about. And the transfer, yeah, man. First of all, it's 1943. It's black and white. It's a B movie from 1943. I imagine there's some quality issues with the master print, if there is even a master. I don't know. So you kind of get what you get with this thing. Anyway, this, like I said, came out in 1943, and it's rather contemporary. For those that aren't familiar, Corregidor was a island fortress in the Philippines. It's sort of the Americans' last stand when the Japanese invaded in World War II, which from December 1941 until May of 1942, that's kind of like the central spot that the Americans held on to, ultimately surrendering in May of 1942. So 1943 was rather contemporary to the events. So I kind of went into this film thinking it was going to be a propaganda film. You get a little bit of that. There's a couple of scenes, where everyone's standing and, we're doing this for freedom and things like that. And, that's to be expected from the era. But by and large, didn't have a lot in it. So getting into some of the particulars of the people involved in this film, it was directed by William Nigh. I have to keep looking at the box because I don't know any of these damn people. All right, William Nigh started off in the early days of silent film, like in the 19-teens, and directed B movies all the way up through the 40s. I think he even got into the 50s. No, maybe it was just in the 40s, late 40s. Nothing really stood out. Like I said, B movies. I couldn't, looking through his credits, I'm not really sure of anything that I've seen before of his. It was written by a couple of people, and I'll get into them later as it deals with the story. But Doris, Malloy, and Edgar, Ulmer. Now, Edgar Ulmer has done quite a few 40s and earlier B science fiction kind of stuff. Doris, mostly dramas, no genre films. But I'll get more into that later. Anyway, the film takes place, as you would guess, in the Philippines. Early December 1941. And it centers around a doctor named Royce, a female doctor. Her name is, the actress name is Elissa Landi. Now, this was her last film. She died of cancer shortly after this film was released. So, kind of bummer on that. But, anyhow, she flies into Manila, or not into Manila, but in the Philippines. Near Manila, but not enough. To meet with a dude named Jan, who's also a doctor. He's doing some research out there. And he's played by Otto Kruger. And Otto was, again, a B-movie actor, stage actor from the early silent film era, as well as Elissa. So these two get together. They've known each other for a long time. Her plan is to get married. Why not? And so they do on December 6, 1941. Kind of figure out what happens shortly thereafter. So Jan and Royce are now making their way across the jungle to get to Corregidor, because that's where the Americans are they're all kind of falling back towards. They come across an American patrol who takes them into the island fortress, where they run into Michael, who they knew was around somewhere, but now they're actually confronted with him. Now, Michael is played by Donald Woods, again, some guy, B actor. He's a doctor, he's a surgeon, they're working with the army, and it's kind of a love triangle. They've all known each other, they've all got a past, the three, Royce, Jan, and Michael. And I think that's where maybe Doris Malloy's writing credits come to play, because like I said, she was involved in mostly dramas. This has definitely got the melodrama part going on. So they're dealing with the Japanese assault working out the love triangle. There's some subplots involved, some soldiers and nurse Wanda Mckay. She gets first bill on here when really she played a nurse in one of the subplots. Frank Jenks also gets top billing. He was kind of the comic relief, just the gruff, kind of wisecracking sergeant that makes a few appearances. So, I don't know how that worked out. But anyway, so you got those things going on. There's some overacting, of course. There's the film itself is shot, a lot of it's really dark, and that could be just some deterioration of the master. I don't know. It's hard to tell with these older films. But if you're looking for historically accurate, there's some, there's a lot of stock footage of, or newsreel footage, I should say. So there's some of that going on, but it's inconsistent, and none of it has to do with what's actually going on in this part of the world. The timeline. This is a real quick run, all right? It's 71 minutes. Real fast movie, but it's supposed to take place. We know it takes place beginning in December 7th, 1941, thereabouts. The Japanese really started invading later in December, so we'll give them a little leeway there. But where the film ends, we're not sure. It doesn't necessarily fall with the actual or end with the fall of Corregidor, which happened in May of 1942. So sometime between December of 1941 and May 1942, this action is going on in the film. So it's really hard to pinpoint. Towards the end, they give the big speech of, this is not a spoiler because everybody knows Corregidor fell. We didn't forget you, America hasn't forgotten, we will be back, that kind of stuff. But it doesn't actually show the fall of Corregidor. So anyway. It's all right as far as a war film. It's sucks as if you want a romantic drama. Man, why you even? All right, but anyway, it's okay. It's not bad. It kind of flounders around with this whole romance thing going on. That kind of kills it for me a little bit. I mean, romance is fine. It's fine, but it's not handled very well here. Let's just put it that way. This film does not handle romance in the midst of a war situation very well. Put it that way. So, to rate it, maybe 2 stars, just a little bit below average. 2 out of 5. Just a little bit below average. Get where they're coming from. Got to consider the times. This is not going to be a blockbuster. It's not even going to be a modern B-movie quality, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. But it's worth a watch for somebody who just wants to who's interested in B-movies of the wartime era. Definitely something you want to check out if you just want to get a little bit of that culture exposure. All right? Well, thanks a lot for hanging out with me again. And I know this wasn't a real wild review, a really great review, but you know what? It's a movie that, it's history. It's a bit of film history. It's a bit of real world history. So we'll see you next time. Take it easy.